Don't you just hate it when you do a top coat on a coaster or something, and then the next day you come and you find drips, these dreaded drips. They're a nemesis of mine. I'm sure there's lots of ways of avoiding it, but if you do find you've got a drip, this is what I do. Now I'm going to do some disclaimers here. I use a one of these, whatever these are called. I've completely forgotten what they're called. I use one of these with the flat square edge like this, and I'm very, very careful with it, and I mean like really careful, because I have a tendency to cut myself, and these are very, very sharp. So disclaimer, don't try this at home if you're accident prone, or you are likely to go at it with real force and damage yourself. Okay. Right, okay, so we're all adults here, hopefully, and this is your responsibility. So what I do is I basically get the heat gun and I just warm up one of the bumps at a time. So I don't need it on there for long. I put it on a silicone bottom so that the item I'm working on doesn't like move around a lot, and then I very slowly just push the blade underneath the bump, and if I haven't warmed it up enough it will struggle at that time, so I just give it a little bit more heat. And then we'll go again. So I'm just ever so gently and pushing away from myself, never towards myself, because again, if this does suddenly shoot off, I don't want it shooting off into me. And there you go. There's the bump. You can see the bump. And now that is almost flush. It's not quite flush. So I'm just, again, with the blade, I'm just going to scrape any excess, and when you feel it, it's now gone. That's now gone. So I'm going to go on to this one. Around 10 seconds is about a good amount of time. I do recommend that you do this in a well ventilated area and potentially with your mask on, because obviously you're heating up resin. So I've got the door open, the windows open, so that still needs a little bit more. And remember, you can always add a little bit of heat. I'm not too bothered if I scuff the bottom, because I'm going to have to do something to make this look a bit neater anyway, but it's so much easier than sanding, because sanding these bumps off can take quite a while. That's good. And then I've got this one. I'm really not applying that much pressure. I genuinely am being very, very gentle, just rocking it side to side rather than using force, and using the blade to cut through. There you go, that came off straight away. So you can see all of those bumps have now gone. I've got one more here. When I get almost to the end, I slow right down, because if you're putting any force on it, when you get right to the end, it's going to shoot off like this. And even if you don't stab yourself, you could cut yourself on your resin or just hurt yourself in general. So I just slow right down at the end, and then I just do it really gently for that last one. And there we go. So what I'm going to do is, when I've next got some leftover resin, because I'm not going to pour any just for this, I'm going to, with a gloved finger, I'm just going to rub over all of that, and that will get rid of that sort of almost sanded look where I've pushed off the bumps that were there. And that way I don't have to do a coat on the whole of the back. I can just rub a little bit of resin on that, and then that will be absolutely fine. And the way I look at it is, handmade means it's not machine made, so it can have some imperfections. So if on the back it's got a slightly dimpled area there where I've had to do this work, that's absolutely fine as far as I'm concerned, because like I say, handmade means it's made by hand, and you can't expect perfection made by hand. Although that's kind of cute. Hope you enjoyed that.